if people can really focus on that the goal of trading is to get better at trading and to make it a learning, focused mastery activity, I think for a lot of people that can really make a big difference to the experience they have in the market. So it's all about developing your competence on the path from beginner through to kind of expert. Keep evolving, looking to get better. You've got to work on the craft, the skills, the knowledge, the strategy. You've got to work on your mindset. You've got to be mindful of also what's going on in the body as well. And just, keep to get better at making decisions under conditions of uncertainty. If you keep that as a core focus, that's going to be pretty helpful for people.
I think it's the fact that even now, 7 years later, and I'm consistently making money and I've been very fortunate, even now, I still feel I'm learning every day. There's something that crops up and I think, oh, yeah, look at that, right, okay, I've never noticed that before. Why haven't I noticed that before? And I'll back test it, and it's always got something that's different. It's like, I always think of golf. When you play golf, you never ever have exactly the same round of golf 2 days running. It's impossible. And trading is kind of like that. It's evolving all the time. The market conditions are changing, so you've got to adapt to the market conditions. That's why I have multiple strategies, because if one strategy starts sort of not performing well because the market conditions don't suit it, then I'll bring it off and I'll put on another one. So it's the fluidity that I find fascinating.
We're almost looking for the answer too quickly, and I think we miss out on the joy, but also the value in the experimenting and the testing and the trying and the narrowing down. And when we look at behavior change, which is what performance improvement really is, I always frame that around self-experimentation. We're going to do an experiment. Let's test it. We've got an idea. If we try this behavior, it might impact your trading in this way. Okay, great. That's our hypothesis. Let's design an experiment. Let's test it. We'll get some feedback. We see how it goes. And, then we'll adapt it or refine it if we need to. But it's all about this kind of, I guess, a bit of playfulness, not getting too hooked into we've got to solve it right away in a certain way, but being open to different possibilities.
If you're in trading, it's because you either like playing the game, you want to make money. If you just want to make money, it's usually a tough road. There's something about enjoying playing the game, enjoying the work, and I think people know the difference. There's a lot of people now who are probably into it because there's money. You've maybe made a bunch of money holding something, and you want to have more money, and you like that feeling, which sometimes can translate into a legitimate start to what you want to do. It's not to discount it, but I think when you're in the business and you want to find out what you're good at or what feels like it's network to you, you try a lot of different stuff. I've tried so many different things. I've tried copying really good traders' strategy. I've reviewed their trades. I've went to dinner with them and went over all their stuff and figured out how can I replicate some of it. I've joined different groups and tried those things. And throughout my career, I've tried so many things, and I know a lot of others have. And it kind of gets to that point where you start to, the best way I can summarize this is you don't know what you are until you know what you aren't. And I find a lot of ways that I'm just not going to fit. And once I kind of throw those out, there's a few left, and then I kind of go that way. So that would be the simple way to put it, I think. And I will add to that, I've been on message boards and trading boards, and everyone's having a great time, and everyone's talking about their trade after the fact, and it's easy, and everyone's making money, and you're sitting there feeling like, oh, why don't I see anything, or I should be catching these trades. And it's just, it's an illusion. It's not really how it is. It may be today, then tomorrow you don't hear from those people. It's all about staying in your own lane and getting your own thing figured out. And you can get a lot of anxiety from those things. You can get really caught up in losing yourself in that stuff. So there's a way to do it without losing yourself. And I think it's important to go through some of that. And we've all probably been through that, but it's part of the process, I think, to feel that way sometimes.
When we look at the path to learning trading, it's similar to learning anything. So the first stage really is about experimentation, trying lots of things out. Just really, like we would do in sports, we might try lots of different sports out, and we would find that we maybe have a preference for some or others, our strengths, our weaknesses, what we enjoy, what we feel we can be good at. I think, trading, that should be the same. And that's maybe where I think for a lot of newer traders, maybe finding or spending more time just exploring and experimenting before you kind of hook into a certain market or certain trading style is important. Then I think over time, there's the process of going from standardized to individualized. So maybe starting off, we learn in a very formal way. Everyone learns the same way to get the basics, but recognizing that over time, we then need to find our own way of expressing our views and beliefs in the market. So that evolution is really important. And I think the third factor, which I think is crucial, really, or two things. One is recognizing that the goal is learning. So I think sometimes in trading, people come into it almost with they want to make money, that they come into it with an earning mindset too early, and they forget that actually the early stages should be about learning. And that learning phase in professional trading, when I've worked with on graduate training programs, we're talking 2 to 3 years for people that are trading full time. So they're in the office 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year, 10 to 12 hours a day, plus working the weekends. And we would quite happily say to them, it'd be 2 to 3 years before we expect you to really start to get very competent and really get towards a high level of capability in this. So, but it is a learning focus, and that means there's structured learning, there's a kind of progression of learning, teaching, coaching, mentoring. I think all that adds huge value to the learning process. So I think something structured, learning focused, experimentation, and then standardized, individualized, they're probably some of the core ingredients.
Probably the worst thing that can happen to any trader is if they have instant success. Sounds ironic, doesn't it? Sounds like a paradox. But the worst thing that can happen to a trader is to have instant success, because they'll think this is so easy. I'll have 1 win, 2 wins, 3 wins, and guess what? On the 4th win, they'll mortgage their house, they'll put on a huge trade, and they'll lose everything, right? They'll go out backwards. The best thing that can happen to traders is that we lose, that we learn straight away that it's not easy. That's why it's so important to trade with a 0% risk reward. And you should be able to trade and suffer 10, 20, 30, sometimes 40 consecutive losses, and be able to fund that and still be trading for when the good wins come along, because the good wins do come along. If you don't respect risk and ruin, you've probably gone bust before that good trade comes along. And hence why it's so important to understand risk and ruin.
If you're starting out, so you presumably surfing the web, you've come across this and you think, yeah, okay, I'd like to have a go at trading. The one thing I would say is please backtest. Backtest your strategy and learn how to interpret the data, because it will make your journey so much easier and you won't quit. Too many people think, oh, okay, well, I'll teach myself and I'll learn to trade, and they don't understand that it's a mindset game. It's not, the skill is not learning to trade. That's the easy bit. It's the mind that will make you quit.
Two hours later.